So Super Rugby round. So Super Rugby round 13, Saturday games. I've got a 2-year-old in the other room watching TV, a newborn sleeping. The odds of me getting through this without some kind of disturbance are slim, especially when we've got a whopping 6 games to get through. I will, without delay, start with Sunwolves against the Reds. It's two teams kind of at the lower end of the rankings. Aussie conference rivals and both coming off a bye, so there's a fair bit to kind of observe in terms of how this game goes. Sunwolves, although they've been poor this whole season, with a 9-loss record and nothing else kind of showing, they did kind of improve in their work against the two New Zealand teams when they toured New Zealand. So you feel like if they keep that form going for the rest of the competition, they should challenge teams, especially teams at the other end of the table. So the Reds aren't the Crusaders, so we'll see if they're able to kind of put anything to effect there. But then again, the Reds on their own kind of went and beat the Lions in their last outing. So Lions are last year's finalists, although not quite having the same season as the previous. They're still a force to be reckoned with, and the Reds managed to do one over. So yeah, there's a bit to play for. For the Sunwolves, it's their last home game in Tokyo for 2018. They've still got a couple more home games. There goes the baby. Still got a couple more home games, but they're going to be in Hong Kong and Singapore. And also, I think Jamie Joseph's going to be switching his focus to the national team at some point soon. So it'll be Tony Brown and others who are looking after the team in his absence. Eddie Quirk is in for Lappies Labuschagne. Labuschagne is off contract now. I think it was a schedule thing. It's not like he's annoyed with the team and he's gone. So that's a pretty big loss for them because he's a really, really good workhorse of a player. Michael Leach is back from a rib injury. Van der Vault and Hatting are in the second row. 9-10 combination is the captain Nagare, who's probably outplayed Tanaka a bit this season, and Parker. So yeah, we'll see how they go. Reds, Slipper and John O'Lance are back, so two kind of experienced hands for them. Korchek is in at 6, and the Smith twins, the props, have been not considered this week due to missing a training session, although there's not many details about that yet. Like I said, the Sunwolves can beat teams based on their performances in New Zealand, but whether they can kind of raise their game another week is a big question. The Reds' playoff hopes are unlikely, but hey, a bonus point win over the Sunwolves in Tokyo sure wouldn't hurt. And nobody wants to be that first team to drop a game to the Sunwolves, so Reds still got plenty to fight for. The bookies have got the Reds by 6 points, so not a huge statement in terms of confidence in how they're going to go. The next game in Christchurch, the Crusaders taking on the Waratahs. So Crusaders with a pretty impressive record. Waratahs kind of a middling one so far. It's the top New Zealand team, at least now, because the Hurricanes haven't played their game yet. They'll be playing first, up against the top Aussie team. And the Aussie team, the Waratahs, will have something to prove, because a lot of talk last week how the top Aussie team couldn't beat the bottom New Zealand team in the Blues at home. We'll see how they go away to the top New Zealand team. For the Crusaders, Moody is back for his first Super Rugby game of the season. Alalatoa is also starting with Taylor in the front row. Bryn Hall is getting the nod at 9. Ryan Crotty's being rested, so Bateman gets a shot at 12. For the Waratahs, Phipps gets a shot at 9 for a change, and Rona starts at 13. Since that final a few years ago where the Waratahs managed to pip the Crusaders at the buzzer, these two teams have been on pretty different trajectories, and this result could be kind of another time where the Crusaders just kind of put one further nail in the current Waratahs coffin anyway, at least Daryl Gibson's one. The Crusaders are very hard to be beaten at home. They have not been beaten there in a long time. Plus that Australia-New Zealand record is just getting ridiculous. So the Crusaders fans will definitely be expecting a large score to be put over on the Waratahs here. Bonus point is pretty much essential. The Tars, man, they had their chance last week to break that duck. against New Zealand teams, at least kind of get that out of the conversation. But it is still there. Conversely, though, the pressure is off them this week. There's nobody giving them a hope of getting any result out of this swell, so they can just go and play their game. Bookies have got the Waratahs losing by 20 points. That's a whopper. Next, the Highlanders take on the Lions down in Dunedin. Both teams pretty disappointing last week. As I said, the Lions lost to the Reds. No, they didn't. That was the week before. The Lions lost to the Canes, so they're on 2 losses in a row. The Highlanders got it really handed to them by the Sharks over in South Africa. So the Highlanders have got a bit of travel. Lions, despite being away, have been in New Zealand a fair bit longer. Highlanders are still unbeaten at home, though. But taking on the Lions is a bit of a different story. And the Lions so far only 1 from 3 on tour. Like, they started off with a big win over the Waratahs, and it was thinking maybe 3 from 4, maybe even they'll sweep it if they play really well, but they're not getting anywhere near it at the moment. For the Highlanders, Hamilton starts at 9. Aaron Smith's being rested again, so I'm not sure what that says about the Lions, if anything, or if it's just coincidence that Aaron Smith's being rested this week. Dylan Hunt's also being rested, so Lynchies gets a start at 7. They rested Aaron Smith against the Blues as well, and they didn't look any worse for wear. So yeah, for the Lions, no Marks, obviously, because he is injured, so Kutsia starts at hooker. Mostert is back on the flank as Ferreira and Ori get the nod in the second row. Highlanders probably need to bounce back with a win, because a record of 6-3-0 in the New Zealand Conference is not all that startling. Hurricanes and Crusaders are starting to get in the way on everybody else, so they need to try and kind of put their foot back in that door. And for the Lions, they need to watch out, because the other teams in the South African Conference have been winning. So that gap, which seemed kind of insurmountable, is starting to look doable for a lot of those teams. So if they make it 1 from 3 on tour, which is pretty much the same as what the Sharks got, the Stormers didn't get a win on tour. Bulls didn't get a win on tour. Anyway, compared to what the Jaguares did from 4 from 4, that's pretty poor. So they'll be looking to at least go for a 50-50 record. And they need to watch out. Highlanders are being favoured by 8 points. So if that's true, the Lions' record is about to go back to evens. Next one, Brumbies Rebels. It's got the look of two teams which are kind of not on good runs. Neither's having, the Brumbies not having a good season overall, and the Rebels not great second half to their season, because the first half was blistering and then it's just absolutely gone to custard. I guess both have got a chance to reverse their fortunes. The Brumbies are saying that this is their last chance to kind of put their hand up for the playoffs, at least in the Aussie Conference. It seems pretty unlikely. They're probably already out of it by now, but I mean, sports is a funny thing. For the Brumbies, still no Pocock, but Rob Valtini is back, so that was good. He was kind of much touted pre-season and then got injured early on. Lachlan McCaffrey is also back. He's been good this season, even if he's not all that flashy. Liliafano is also back after being rested for a couple of weeks, so he starts at 12. For the Rebels, still no Guinea or Dane Haylett-Petty, who are kind of two of your bigger names. Samisi Tupou gets a start on the wing. It's his debut, and I believe he's a local Melbourne lad, so that's good news. Tom English is also back at 13. So yeah, all over for the Brumbies if they lose. So it's kind of got an all-important finals style nature to it, but then again, every game for them this season kind of becomes a finals game. For the Rebels, it's just kind of a test of how far they've fallen. Have they dropped to the level of the Brumbies, or are they able to kind of step things back up and put it in another gear for this one? Because like I said, it was such a blistering start. Rebels are predicted to win by 4, so I guess pretty tightly contested according to the bookies. The next one, Stormers Chiefs. Now this has been a great fixture for the last couple of years, because the Stormers obviously had that 1 year where they didn't play any New Zealand teams under the old rules. And when they played the Chiefs in a finals match, the Chiefs just absolutely smashed them. And then The next season, they met in the regular season, and the Stormers put a really great win over the Chiefs, and it was kind of like, okay, cool, the Stormers have showed some progress. Then went on to lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. So there's a bit of blood between these two teams, and their fixtures have usually been pretty interesting. So not always high-scoring affairs, but sometimes. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes this week. Stormers are unchanged from last week. I guess that makes sense because they were pretty solid. For the Chiefs, Retallick and Nathan Harris are back. Ardron moves from the second row to number 8. Fauli is also back at 12, and Sean Stevenson is back after a pretty lengthy injury to make the bench. Weber also gets to start at 9. The Chiefs have had a pretty unsettled squad. There's been very few times when they've been able to just list an unchanged lineup. Same can be said for the Stormers, though. They've also had their own injury woes, so it's good for them to start getting back to a regular lineup. For the Chiefs, for the Stormers first, sorry, they're at home. They need to continue this kind of Fortress Newlands thing that they've had going, because all 5 from 5 victories have come at Newlands, haven't been beaten there. If they can keep going, they keep their hand in the conversation for the playoffs. For the Chiefs, they need to bounce back after that pretty disappointing home defeat to the Jaguares. They will definitely need to step it up a notch. They just looked off the pace and not good in that game. So Chiefs are predicted to win by 1. So in terms of closeness, this has the look of the game around about it. It should be a good contest. And there's plenty to play for both these teams as well, so it adds a bit of interest. For the last game, Bulls-Sharks. So both teams having kind of middling seasons, 4-5-0, 4-5-1. Bulls, they've had a pretty good showing recently in their last couple of games, but still lost them both. Like in that performance against the Stormers, they were patchy and they looked good at times, and against the Highlanders, they probably should have won, but weren't able to kind of get it over the line. So we'll see if they can kind of improve. Otherwise, they're staring down the barrel of 3 losses. For the Sharks, they're coming off a really great win against the Highlanders. So we'll see if they can continue to be the good team we know they can be in this game, or if they'll revert back to some of the rubbish that they've been playing earlier in the season. For the Bulls, Inyakani is back, and Travis Ishmael gets a start. Roloff Schmidt is also listed as starting ahead of Bowley. The Sharks have only got 1 change, and that's Jacques Vermeulen in for Philip van der Walt at 6. So yeah, the Bulls need to stop this bleeding and get off the bottom of the South African Conference, play like we know they can for 80 minutes, and they'll give themselves a chance. If they only do another patchy performance, there's a chance that the Sharks will go in and punish them. The Sharks, it really just depends which team shows up. If they play to their ability and use that immense talent they've got, could be a long night for the Bulls. But yeah, we will see, because who really knows which team is going to turn up. It's the Sharks by 2 according to the bookies. So yeah, that's the 6 Saturday games. Plenty of viewing to come. We'll see how the results go. Not too much in the way of baby crying this time, but I'll see how much that appears on the microphone. It is pretty piercing. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See ya.